Welcome to I'm From the Internet, a podcast about the internet, its users, and their consequences. I am disgraced comedian Winslow Domain, sitting here with internet historian Jay Brandstetter. Jay, how have you been, man?
A lot better than I've been doing for the past couple months. I feel like I'm kind of feeling some resumption of normalcy. I'm getting back into a better rhythm of working on the show as well. So we might miss a week at some point. I want to get that in front just because, we recorded a two-parter and then it turned out I didn't save my part of it. So we had to toss it for now, but I'm working on catching up and we have some fun episodes coming down the line. So just, y'all have been really cool about the past couple months and everything. So it feels good to be getting back into the swing of things for real.
Yeah. We definitely got a good episode on my end because I just keep getting angrier and angrier as that episode goes on. But at some point in time, we'll re-record it, and I'm sure I'll just forget everything and get angry again. It is what it is. You've been putting together some cool guest spot episodes that we've been looking forward to for a while. We just had to get sidelined by life and the game and stuff like that. So I get it, man. Oh, that'll be good. On my end, I spent the last, let's say 3 weeks packing up and shipping out all 900 orders for my new game, The Restless, which is a staggering amount of work. It is just, when I did the tarot Kickstarter, you have an envelope, you put the box in with some stickers or a print or whatever, and then you're done. And that's it. With The Restless, it is an 8-pound game. And you have to make the box, wrap it in bubble wrap, get the envelope. It's so many new steps, which sounds like nothing, but doing it 900 times is just, it's a staggering amount of work. So my body is, I was just, when we were getting ready to pre-record, you probably can't see it on the camera down here, but my hands are just riddled with fucking cuts and scrapes and just my fingers are just a nightmare from all of the moving of boxes and envelopes and all that. So that's what I've been doing. But thank you to everyone who supported the project. And if you don't have your game, if by the time you hear this, you'll have it. But, thank you. And if you want a copy, you can find it on winslowdomain.com. Sounds like you have a modest little episode for us today.
Yeah, today's episode is titled A Modest Video Game Proposal, and we're going to be talking about the infamous anti-video game lawyer, Jack Thompson. This is the first time we focused on him on the show, but he's definitely going to come up again, because if you talk about anything involving gamers on the internet in the 2000s, he's probably going to be involved at some point. Yeah,
every once in a while I'll bump into this kind of individual, this sentiment of just they are just anti all games. They just think all video games are trash and all video games should be outlawed. And it's very strange to have this conversation with an adult who actually feels this way, because you don't need me to tell you, but games are so vast. It's just meeting a book burner who's no, my thing is I think all books should be burnt. I don't know, you're putting Call of Duty in the same category as Solitaire, Farmville, Factorio, and Ugu Princess Cock on fucking Steam. So all the AI porn games on Steam, you're really throwing a lot of babies out with the bathwater. Babies, of course, being all of the AI porn games that are flooding Steam right now. But interesting type of person.
Very much, yeah. And a part of why this episode was fun to research is I didn't know that much about his pre-video game history. I mostly knew about him when he entered the gaming scene. So this is actually a two-parter. The first part is sort of leading up to the modest video game proposal, and we'll sort of see how Jack Thompson rose to become the face of the anti-video game movement. And the second part is going to be him at arguably the peak of his power in the moment that he kind of started his own downfall. So it's sort of a zoomed out look at his career. But if you want a more in-depth one, I do want to start with a shout out. There's another podcast called Scandalous Games. It's hosted by Kevin Impellizzeri, who's a PhD in video game history. I actually talked with him a little researching this episode, and he's done like 15 episodes about Jack Thompson over the years, as well as a bunch of other ones. Like he did one on the guys who made Hatred, that game from a couple years ago, and finding out like all the weird fashy games they've made since then. Like they made a first-person shooter where you play as like about the clean Wehrmacht myth, where you're a German soldier who has no idea the Holocaust is going on. Like they've gone in some really weird directions since then.
Oh wow! Shocking to me that the people that made the mass shooting simulator ended up being kind of fascist.
Oh god, yeah. And even now, like especially with hindsight, like one of their big defenses at the time was like, we're Polish, we can't be Nazis. The Nazis killed Poles. And I'm like, our biggest Nazi in America is a gay man. The Nazis killed gay people. Come on, this doesn't even work now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so fucking
The leader
funny.
of the Proud Boys is a Latino. Come on.
Yeah, let's be real. The human mind can contain some pretty wild contradictions. There's definitely, I mean, like you go to fucking Russia, you'll see Nazis crawling all over the place. Like there's not, and they were the ones that really got shafted by the actual historical Nazis.
Well, I can kind of get that. It's like, well, these guys kicked our ass so much. Maybe we got something we could learn from them.
Well, you say that, but Trevor Noah, before he was a comedian, used to be part of like a dance crew. And this is back home. God, I can't remember where he's from. I can't. I don't think he might be from South Africa. I don't know. But one of his dance crew members was a guy named Hitler. And they did a bar mitzvah where they're like, go Hitler, go Hitler. And he was like breakdancing. And they just had no idea who Hitler was. And so obviously the bar mitzvah they were all super offended. And they had to explain, like, no. Hitler to us, this is from his book, is like a big, strong guy. Because he explained that his understanding of Hitler was, this is a dude that was so bad that the white people asked us black people to help fight him. And so like there is a little bit of like naming yourself after the thing that almost kills you, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if I named myself Women, but yeah, but yeah, that's fun. Well, I hope that we find out a bit more about Jack Thompson, because I don't actually know a whole lot about him.
Yeah, and also because he's a Florida lawyer, so this is kind of in my backyard. I was a North Florida guy, but South Florida I've been to a few times. So we get some fun Florida history in here too. And my sort of teaser, when we get to the actual modest video game proposal, I have a little headline about it. It says, Attorney proposes violent game, October 10th, 2005. Jack Thompson will give $10,000 to charity if any video game company makes and releases a game based on a scenario he created. So think about that as we go through this. What type of game do you think that this man would propose in a public setting like this? Because as we'll see, it's pretty unhinged.
Oh, like the only thing that I could think of would be some sort of school shooting situation, or something like really over the top sloppy, like abortion simulator or some shit like that. That's my guess. Where like you have to like Operation Guide the calipers and to like pull out chunks of baby.
Yeah, I can see the indie art game version of that, like the cozy abortion clinic simulator, where it's like commentary on it.
Dude, cozy abortion clinic. Fuck. That's the idea. We need to bring back Newgrounds.
And it looks like a Facebook game, and you're doing the mini games and everything, except it's abortion related stuff. Like, yeah, just drive out. This is just a normal medical thing, like everything else.
Yeah, get Edmund McMillan on the phone, because that's his next title. That's funny. Yeah, I could see that. Something like that. It's so funny, because you go back to any time there's a new form of media, adults, well, on a sliding scale of whoever is adult at that time, will just be like, they react to it as if they've never heard of violence before. Because like comic books come around and you can see like editorials about like, these violent fantasies of like rape and murder in these dirty comic books, these rags these kids are reading, and these same with like dime store novels where it's smut, it's pulp, it's all of this, and then the people that make them lean into it, and you get guys that are like the Max, who's just like this big muscle bound freak, and then you get like the sultry dime store novels that try to lean into it. And the same thing happened with games and rock and roll and metal and rap music and all this stuff, where it's just like pearl clutching losers are convinced that this is the thing that's going to cause the downfall. And you're seeing it with screen time, and you're seeing it with TikTok and everything, where it's like, wow, man, if Elvis didn't turn us all into a pack of slavering rapists, I don't think that TikTok is going to make our kids into drones. But, presume the futility of all human thought is my guiding principle here.
That's a great lead-in, because almost every one of those things is going to come up at some point in this. Like, the comic books is pretty funny, because one of the things about Jack Thompson is he identifies with Batman. There's a 1990 article on him that refers to him as the Batman who took on rap. So that illustrates that gaming wasn't his first radio. And also, like, the idea that this guy's like, I'm a crusader against immorality using the symbol of a previous generation symbol of immorality.
That's so funny. The Batman who took on rap. Oh my God. Like that's the biggest fish he can fry. You know what I mean? Like,
the war
like
on rap.
There's like actual like child eating rape gangs. I hate to say rape so many times in an episode, but it is the subject matter. Like actual wars, actual genocides, horrible poverty and iniquity all over the fucking world. And he's like, no, these street toughs listening to their bebop beats, like that's his thing. Oh my God. Yeah. No, it's like I am the King Leonidas, and my Xerxes is sagging pants, and I will die. I will die in the fight against seeing a man's boxers.
Especially when you see a store that still has a sign like that up, and it's like saggy pants haven't been a thing for like 15 years. That's like the gangster rap era. We're in the era of like dyed hair and like crying and depression. That's not what people are doing at all. And I'm also kind of glad to go to these early cases, because I think it's important to illustrate that even when Jack Thompson might seem like he's arguing a relatively reasonable position, it's coming from a bad place. And I think his first controversy is maybe a fun illustration of that, because my background here is that his actual legal name is John Bruce Thompson. Jack is what he goes by. So Jesus. I'm going to call him that, but I think it's worth mentioning. So Jack Thompson is a born-again Christian and self-proclaimed radical conservative Republican who moved to Florida in the 70s. And the first time that he made headlines was in 1988, the year I was born, when he was feuding with an openly gay Miami shock jock named Neil Rogers, he was liberal, and he dominated radio ratings in this very conservative city. I like the idea of that's very much the opposite of my experience with shock jocks.
Yeah, a liberal shock jock is really funny.
Yeah, and he started in the 70s. That's when he first came out, was in the 70s. And it's funny seeing the idea of a shock jock where it's a dorky guy in a polyester suit who's kind of balding and he looks like my grandpa kind of. Yeah.
Can we stop and point out the top right corner of this magazine is inside a gun for your son, and it is a full-on baby holding a revolver.
Revolver Ocelot's revolver.
Rocks,
this is,
dude.
Yeah. Vice City was not exaggerating 80s Miami that much.
Dude, it's so good. And they just, I mean, the guy that we're looking at on the cover of this magazine, it's, okay, so it says Tropic Magazine, no more Mr. Bad Guy. Neil Rogers was the devil of talk radio. He stirred up paranoia, malice, bigotry, and big ratings. Then he got tired of the ugliness. Look where it got him. And it's him kind of giving a G shucks face. He's got his head in his hands, and he's okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And one hand is on a telephone that's covered in cobwebs, and there's a little plastic spider. All of this to say, I don't think that they make this type of guy with his Dahmer glasses without giving him a gold watch and big, thick fucking forearms, man.
Oh, yeah.
As someone with these puny, cowardly forearms, whenever I see a guy who's got these big old fucking just thick fucking wrists. I'm always just like, oh, I'm just nothing to you. You could just throw me to the wind, man. There was a time when I was working at Barnes and Noble, and I was at the front, and this guy came in, and he was a nice enough guy, but he just was like this squat, thick, muscular guy, and I just leaned over to him and said, "Sir, this might be a weird thing to say, but you know, I've been working out. I like to think of myself in good shape, but every once in a while, I'll see somebody like you, and I just think, oh, this guy could kick my ass easily." And he was just like, "Thanks, man, but I never would." And it was like this really sweet interaction of this guy who's like, "I'm strong, but it's just for moving furniture," you know.
I just help my friends move on the weekends.
When you think of liberal shock jock, this is not the guy that you would picture. He just looks like he works back of house at like a car lot. Like he's not an intense individual. His hair is complete. He's just like balding comb over guy with a regular old collared shirt. He just looks like a very deeply normal, thick guy from the 70s. Which is, I don't know, it's just kind of funny given his position, you know?
Yeah, that was part of why this was kind of fun to dig in. I was like, yeah, what does a shock jock in the 80s that Jack Thompson would be mad at even look like? And one of Jack Thompson's things was he submitted a report to the FBI about this guy, and someone FOIA'd it. So I have the FBI report from the 80s. And here's an itemized list of complaints that Jack Thompson wrote about the show to give an idea of the content. And if you like, we can alternate paragraphs here.
On September 7th, 1988, Neil Rogers repeatedly suggested that the vice president is a Nazi. For example, at 9:15 a.m., Rogers broadcast a speech by Adolf Hitler and said that it was George Bush speaking. Further, Rogers said that if George Bush is elected president, then he will require Americans to recite a song of the Third Reich rather than the Pledge of Allegiance, and require young Americans to wear Hitler Youth uniforms.
This dude fucking rocks.
Yeah, this dude's based as hell.
It's based as hell. And it's like, oh God, it's just so funny because like, I want to know, I mean, maybe we'll find out. I want to know Jack Thompson's opinion on Rush Limbaugh, who did insane shit on the radio and like made these wild, grotesque accusations and completely, you know, got away with it, and they love him, and like, you know, they're still. I mean, nobody celebrates him anymore, but like, it was a whole thing when he died. He got the Medal of Freedom award, didn't he? Like, they love that guy. You know, they get a drop of it back, and they start pulling their hair out.
Yeah, that is a fun thing to keep in mind with this too, is like, especially when we talk about the rap, like we're in the era of Kid Rock being a right-wing superstar, and seeing the stuff they complain about in rap in the 80s, whereas now like the guy who raps about statutory being mandatory is a cool guy to them, is just like, man, they don't actually believe anything.
It's so funny. Okay, do continue.
Since September 7th, Neil Rogers has repeatedly used similar suggestions to label Mr. Bush a Nazi, having done so twice on yesterday's September 27th show. By the way, during hourly newscasts, Rogers plays a song whose lyrics are about and favorable to Mike Dukakis. a lot of 80s names I haven't heard in a long time.
It's just like he's using his freedom of speech. You know, like they're so fucking mad.
Yeah, and like this is over the airwaves. The FCC actually has dominion over this, so it actually is like somewhat risky to say things like this over the air, which is why it's kind of cool that he's like, you know, getting so mad over it.
Yeah.
Recently, the United States Secret Service warned Neil Rogers and his on-air sidekicks not to broadcast, as they had in the past comments about quail hunting and joking about shooting President Reagan after seeing a Jodie Foster movie. Neil Rogers even admitted on the air after the visit from the Secret Service that it is a violation of federal law to joke about such things, which indeed it is.
There's no joke that we can make here that will be funnier than Trevor Moore's whole bit about like, you can't say I'm going to kill the president of the United States. If you know us, you know Trevor. So you're that's funny. You can, you just have to do it in a clever way.
Yeah, and for our younger listeners, the vice president at the time was named Dan Quayle, spelled with a Y. So this is a pun about shooting the vice president.
Yeah, of course.
And then the last paragraph, it says, and yet at 7:30 a.m. on September 27th, Neil Rogers joked once again about hunting quail. At 7:55 a.m., in the midst of a discussion about the presidential debate, Rogers did not dump the following comment by a caller, quote, if that debate sways their voting at all, they should be shot. He's letting them make fun of me in the comments. Stop it.
Yeah. Sir, please, sir. That's great.
Yeah, and his obsession with Neil Rogers, he did a bunch of, this is a good indicator of where we go. He did a lot of stunts. Like, one of them was he pretended to be an 8-year-old in a letter he sent ordering a comedy album from Neil so he could turn around and claim that Neil was sending pornography to children in the mail. Like, that's the type of stunts he's doing here.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Acorn thing where they tried to, like, they had that really obnoxious pimp walk into one of, like, the Acorn community health centers to try to, like, get, the whole Acorn scandal.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just really obnoxious that, like, you see people littering to prove that littering is happening. It's like, that's not really how it works. But yeah, it's also not pornography.
Yeah, exactly. It's just words. Like, it's not even. God, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like I mentioned that he had filed a report with the FBI. The reason why he was doing this is that Jack Thompson was alleging that Neil Rogers was using his show to recruit teenage boys into the homosexual lifestyle. And weirdly enough, digging into it, I think this might be one of the more meritorious claims that Jack Thompson made, even though it turned out to be false, as we'll see. Because his specific complaint was that there were these 2 high school boys who regularly called into the show, and they'd taken interest in working in radio, and Neil was talking about wanting to take them with him on trips to Las Vegas and Hawaii. And Thompson was arguing that this was a violation of the Mann Act because he was transporting minors over state lines for sex reasons. And part of Jack Thompson's complaint was he actually had a tape of recordings that was digitized in the FOIA request. And I listened to his complaint, and I actually kind of see why this could be concerning, because like a regular part of Neil's rap part is that he would flirt with male callers, and him flirting with a self-identified high schooler and talking about how he has a great body is really creepy to modern eyes, even if it was ostensibly a running gag. Like, I pulled some quotes from the bits. Like, he's like, I'm just a friendly guy, friendly and desperate. If they sound good, you're damn right I'll flirt with them. I might get lucky one day. Stuff like that. And some of his regular callers even have call-in bits later where they're like, this is kind of uncomfortable and gross. And he's like, well, I have news for you. I couldn't corrupt their morals because they don't have any. Like, he responds to everything with a joke, but it is still like, if he was actually doing this would just be a huge smoking gun. It would be like, why didn't people pay attention to this? So, like I said, I kind of, especially in the modern age, although this was 5 years before Jerry Seinfeld dated a high schooler. So in general, this just was not a good time in our culture regarding this.
Judge me by the entire thing I'm about to say. I think it's culturally interesting how we've come to the consensus, for the most part, on the age of consent. I am not questioning the age of consent. I think that it's interesting that it was so widespread forever up until very recently that, like, these kinds of jokes, yes, he did have some pushback, but these kinds of jokes were not, like, absolutely scandalous, right? And that Jerry Seinfeld could go to fucking prom, and there wasn't, like, there was no, like, concerted pushback against that. And I guess there's not as much now as there likely should be, but I don't know. It's just interesting to me about how we've all, like, the not that morals are relative, but how we've all kind of come to this one conclusion. It's interesting.
It makes me think like the modern equivalent that would be like people whose whole personality is hating the transes and the bathroom sickos, but thinks the funniest thing in the world is like a picture of a little boy next to a bikini model or something. Like, just how people have like all these weird projections and hangups about that kind of thing. It's odd.
Yeah, it's an interesting history, and I could see how that could get out of hand.
And I will say, luckily, though, the FBI did investigate this. And first off, it turned out that the teenager Thompson was fixated on wasn't even gay. They found a very quote. They're like, he has a strong interest in females, and I am of the opinion that Rogers is nothing more than a youthful lark. And also, neither of them were minors at any point that Thompson was reporting on this. So that's where the FBI tapped out, because they're like, okay, it looks like this didn't happen. And also, even if it did, it wouldn't be a crime. So as law enforcement, this is where we tap out. And nothing else came of it after this. But there was a closing remark that I thought was a good indication of like Thompson's personality, if you'd like to read this bit here.
I should like to conclude by noting that 25 years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in his office in Washington. It was one of the highlights of my young life then, and still is. I think it not fanciful to surmise that Director Hoover, if he were alive today, would like to see the above criminal brought to justice. I would encourage you to work towards that end, and quickly. I would appreciate it as the parents of the kids who have been targets of Behelfer's criminal activity.
That's his actual legal last name.
He's just fawning over J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, the idea of someone who idolizes J. Edgar Hoover in their youth is very funny. And also invoking his ghost to be like, if he was alive, he'd totally say I was right.
Yeah, oh well, yeah. I mean, have you seen Glenn Beck talking to AI George Washington?
Oh, God.
It's really embarrassing, because it's just like George Washington, but he's a little bit of like a washed up fuckboy, because he's got like he's like way more physically fit than George Washington ever was, and he's just like, I think that it's totally okay to bomb Iranian schoolgirls, and it's just like this weird AI 3D model talking to like Glenn Beck, who, if you picture in your mind Glenn Beck, you're probably picturing somebody from 2005. Right, you're picturing the Glenn Beck that was rising to prominence when Jon Stewart was still on The Daily Show, and he. But between then and now, Glenn Beck's head has swollen so much that if it gets any more swollen, it will eventually just kind of become concave. You know what I mean? Like, if you just laid Glenn Beck on his back, you could eat breakfast cereal out of the swollen cavity of his face. Do you understand? Just a very, very puffy man. If
he did a headstand, he might not ever be able to get upright again.
You're right. Yeah. Well, it would just all compress, like how glass is like the whatever the glass will like start to sag over hundreds of years. So, like, he would just kind of like a melted candle.
But he didn't stop with this, though. One of his beefs that he walked away with this was the Miami-Dade state attorney, Janet Reno, also refused to prosecute Rogers for obscenity. And Thompson already had a grudge against her because he had applied for a job at the state attorney's office and she had interviewed him and he didn't get the job. So he blamed her for that. So one of his letters I got from the FBI report regarding solicitation of teenage boys for sex by Neil Rogers on WZTA-FM. Like, He was bringing this to her. And so since she didn't do it in 1988, he campaigned against her in the election. And as the Miami Herald reported, I have a quote. They go, at one rally, Thompson handed Reno a letter with a prepared statement asking her to check the appropriate box. I, Janet Reno, am a homosexual, bisexual, heterosexual. The letter continued, if you do not respond by that date, then you will be deemed to have checked one of the two boxes. So literally, like, are you gay? If you don't answer, it means you're gay. Like, this is very middle school.
Yeah. Please, do you like me? Please check yes or no.
Are you gay? Yes or no? Negatively.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and Janet Reno, I know her. Yes. In the 90s, she was the attorney general under Clinton's administration. She was the first female attorney general. But even before that, she was a liberal woman in a conservative state. So I mostly knew about her because calling her mannish or a lesbian was their one joke. Like on Saturday Night Live, whenever they had Janet Reno, she was played by Will Ferrell in a pantsuit. Like that was very much kind of just how she was characterized. Like I didn't really know that much about her other than that. That's why this was kind of fun, was to dig into her history in here for this. So yeah, and that also tied, like, in the water at the time, there was this very weird, like, late 80s, 90s cultural panic among conservatives, where there were all these secret lesbians in power, and they had these secret cues they used to communicate. Like, the guy who founded Amway would rant about this at his meetings. One of them was like, it's their shoes. If they have the pointed shoes, it's one thing. If it's square-toed shoes, it's another. Like, very odd gay panic at a time when, people were already pretty hung up about these things.
Yeah, I dated a woman who, like... every part about her was very pointy. She had like the razor sharp nails, and she would also wear like, a pointed toe heel, but like like the Mexican caballero, like those super long pointed toes, where like it was hard for her to drive in them.
That's what I was going to ask. Are we talking like GD shoes or like those? Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't curl up. It was like if she kicked you, it would puncture. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a blunt force impact.
Piercing damage kick.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Piercing damage. Yes, exactly. Yeah, she had a lot of poison damage.
Yeah. And when he was interviewed about this later in Nightline, he had a wonderful exchange. I'll read Jack Thompson's parts and you can read Dave Weir's. So he begins, I came up with this clever plan, laughs, of handing her this questionnaire asking her, you know, are you a heterosexual? Are you a bisexual? Are you a homosexual? And so forth.
She put her arm on your shoulder and said, I'm only attracted to virile men, which is why I'm not attracted to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you filed battery charges against her.
Well, she grabbed a hold of me and shook me. She didn't hurt me, but I was annoyed. I was angry that she dealt with it in that fashion, and that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I should have, but I'm glad. I think it's reasonable to ask her the questions. like she just immediately clapped back, and he melted, and he's completely imploded. It's so good.
Oh God, he should be a soccer player. You know what I mean? Just like completely pratfalls.
Yeah, although thankfully the battery charges were dismissed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course they were.
Yeah, it was just very, very embarrassing behavior, and he lost the election, of course. So that made him even more fixated on her. And also, it's worth mentioning that part of the reason why Thompson has so much time to pursue all these pet causes while almost never actually winning is because his wife is a well-paid corporate lawyer. So him being weird about gender roles is kind of a self-owned because he's not the breadwinner in his household.
Oh boy, there's some complex psychology going on here.
Yeah, and like he did do some work. He was like an ambulance chaser, basically. He did medical malpractice.
Ambulance. I know what an ambulance chaser is, but it's just so funny. It just sounds like it is an insult, but it is also just like, I don't know. It's like my favorite two like compound insults, like diaper sniffer, ambulance chaser. Like it's just really, really punchy, you know?
Yeah, ambulance chaser sounds like someone who has a fetish for EMT gear or something.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking funny, dude. Somebody who's always trying to fuck a nurse. Yeah, that's funny.
No, not the sexy kind of nurse, the real kind.
Yeah, the real kind that like their clothing is really gross. And that has to be cleaned at ultra high heat. Yeah, that's funny. Well, it's good that he lost.
But yeah, he did lose. And then, and so that same,
yeah.
That same year, Luther Campbell from 2 Live Crew, he wrote a song for his cousin Anquette titled Janet Reno, praising her for cracking down on deadbeat dads in Miami, and that helped raise her profile in the election and arguably contributed to her winning. So, of course, I dug it up. We have this fantastic 1988 rap album cover.
That
like women
rocks.
Oh, yeah. This is great.
I mean, fuck. I also did, like, I guess I didn't know who 2 Live Crew was, as I've heard it referred to, but I didn't know that it was these gals. But I mean, like, if you know anything.
No, this isn't them. This is the guy from 2 Live Crew wrote this song. This is his cousin performing it. Like, she was also a musician. Yeah, we're going to see one of 2 Live Crew's albums later. But yeah, this is him. He's tied to this. So when Jack Thompson gets bad at this, that's who he focuses on because he's the guy who actually wrote the song. And he's the more famous person. Yeah,
because comedian Jay Weingarten did shows with 2 Wet Crew, I think is the name. But they're a totally different thing. So I was all my wires are crossed there. But yeah, this rocks. I mean, the state of the denim that these ladies are wearing is just disastrous. But I really want to hear this song now.
The torn jeans and halter tops, and it's great.
Janet Reno.
To give you an idea of exactly what era of rap this is, the interlude is done to the tune of Yankee Doodle. Like, it's that era when we were doing like children's songs and like old stuff like that in the songs. Yeah. I was the quote from the interlude that I have here, just to give an idea of what this song is like. It's Janet Reno comes to town collecting all the money. You stayed one day, then ran away and started acting funny. Like, it's very much like taunting deadbeat dads and how Janet Reno is hunting them down and making them pay for the kids they won't take care of. It's a funny song. I get why it was appealing.
That's tight. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, when a musician resorts to using like nursery rhymes in their stuff is always very funny to me, because there's a part of, I think it's Pretty Hate Machine in 9 Inch Nails, where he actually pulls out the rain, go away, come again some other day, which is like, aren't you supposed to be like a suicide genius? Why are we doing this? Yeah.
Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider.
Exactly. That's funny. Well, I mean, but it's good that they're going after the deadbeat dads. That's good.
Yeah, and I will admit, I was a little curious about why, because I don't want to just like take a politician at their face value. They're doing this just to be nice. So I dug into like some Florida history, and this was actually a response to some stuff that happened under her watch. There was a race riot in Miami in 1980 where a black lance corporal in the U.S. Marines named Arthur McDuffie was beaten to death at a traffic stop, and then the cops tried to cover it up and say he fought back. Like I'm glad I got a picture of him. He looks fucking cool as hell. He's smoking his pipe. He's wearing his suit. Like this was a guy in good standing in the community, and when this happened 5 months later, all the participating cops were acquitted by an all-white jury, and there was a riot. And that was one of the first of several race riots in Miami in the 80s. This was a time with a lot of strife, also in part because Miami also has a very large population of Cuban immigrants, and there was a big sort of headbutting going on because Nelson Mandela was friends with Fidel Castro. So you have all these black Americans supporting him and ending apartheid, and you have all these Cuban Americans being like, now hold up, we don't want to help the guy who's helping the guy we hate. And it just led to a lot of big culture clashes at the time.
Yeah, no, I know a little bit about that part, but I mean, there's so much more to say about what's going on in Cuba right now with, like the blockade, stopping basically everything from getting in there. Nightmare world, but so wait, what does this have to do with deadbeat dads?
Well, because when this happened, the black community, they were like, basically, she was the one prosecuting this case. So she took some of the blame for this happening. It's like, how did you let them get away with this? So she actually went out and like surveyed the community and talked to people and like, okay, this is this demographic that I'm struggling with. This is like this is a big issue that they respond to. So I'm going to focus on it to try and win them over, basically. So it was a good thing, but it was done to a purpose. It wasn't just nicest for nicest sake. It was politics. Obviously
it was, but at the same time, it is also like, you know, you don't need to glaze any politician, but like you can kind of see like, well, I failed this community. What can I do to make up for it? Yes. So that I can continue having a job, but also like, you know, and also
what they're supposed to do.
Like, what was she like? It wasn't, I'm just saying that you can't necessarily blame her for the failures of the racist American justice system, right? But I don't know. I don't know enough about it, so I'm going to stop commenting on it.
Yeah. But so that did work. And then also, this does kind of tie in nicely to Jack Thompson, because one of the controversies around Grand Theft Auto Vice City was that they had these missions where you kill Haitians. And at the time, I was like, the Haitians is the name of the gang. Don't they know that? Whereas now I'm like, no, I get it, because black people in Miami, especially immigrants from Haiti, were treated especially badly at this time. It's something that's a sore spot for them. So when these British people make this video game where they're like, kill all the Haitians, it's like, I can see why they'd be like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, it's like it's Grand Theft Auto. You're not going to expect them to paint with a fine brush. You're going to be expecting South Park level of writing, you know?
Oh, very, yeah. And so all that to explain how the guy from Two Live Crew writes a pro-Janet Reno song, and a year later in 1989, wouldn't you know it, the guy who lost an election to her is now the face of the movement trying to ban Two Live Crew's albums in the state of Florida, because Jack Thompson was the attorney who brought this case. Was when the rap group Two Live Crew released their album As Dirty As They Wanna Be. That was the one that caused all this controversy.
Yeah, dude. I kind of have a soft spot for when like I don't have a problem with wet ass pussy, but I do like it when songs had to be like slippery when wet, you know? Like it's so obnoxious to find, like it is truly like a that's what she said innuendo constantly. Yeah, that's so funny.
So anyways, I have this quote here from Luther Campbell. He goes, "A lot of people don't realize it, but all of this started a couple years ago because one of my groups put out a record in favor of Janet Reno. He lost the election and has been after me ever since." So this isn't just me speculating. This is him straight up saying, yeah, this is why this happened. Like it's you know, and I get it. That makes sense with what we know about Jack now.
Yeah. He's just like, he's a man driven by grudges.
Absolutely. Like Nixonian levels of grudges and list taking.
Right. Exactly that.
Yeah. And also, this is frustrating because he succeeded to some degree. The United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida ruled the album to be legally obscene. It was the first and only time a music album has been declared obscenity in America. This is a landmark case, still is, yeah.
Really? That's the only time?
Like individual songs have been, but an actual album is usually considered protective speech because it's a collection of different pieces of music. But this was the first only time. Yeah, they're like, no, this whole album is obscenity. You cannot sell this album. We will arrest you or fine you if you do. Also, they arrested Two Live Crew when they performed the song at a strip club in Broward County, like a place people go to watch naked women dance. Like, hold on, you can't be sexual here. That's illegal.
Man, that's really interesting to me because, like, Marilyn Manson got his start in Florida, he got his start in Fort Lauderdale, right? And there were similar proceedings brought against him, for, this was in like 97, 98 about like Antichrist Superstar and all that. This was during Mechanical Animals after Columbine, but there's pictures of like senators. I think it's Lieberman holding up a copy of Antichrist, talking about like how we need to ban this perverted music, but they failed. They weren't able to do that. So it's really interesting that this is the only album. But I'm sure and I'm sure a lot of our listeners know about how like the list of songs that were banned after 9/11.
I lived through that. Yeah,
and one of the things was like everything by Rage Against the Machine was banned. A lot of like Metallica and stuff like that. And any song called like, we're going to blow up the building. All of those got banned. But yeah, I didn't know that this is the only time an entire album was banned for obscenity when there are so many way more obscene albums that surely came before, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of this is like racial. So.
Exactly, race, and plus it's the new genre of music. This is very much rap isn't music, it's just talking over other people's music type of attitude. I'm not a music person, but I think rap is great. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I guess a fun detail to come out of this was after that happened, they released a clean edit. It was called Two Live Crew As Clean As They Want to Be. And right on the front cover, this album does not contain explicit lyrics. And they put the banner over the women in thongs on the album cover. Like, that's a very funny way of leading into the controversy.
That's great. Yeah, that's so funny. I do like it when they lean in. I like a band that leans into something when they lean into a joke like that. Or when they just like, they're given a rule and either they just utterly disregard it, like the fuck you, I won't do what you tell me kind of thing. Or when they like kind of maliciously comply like that. I don't know. I just think that's funny. Oh yeah, there he is. He looks like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, this is a smooth Jack Thompson. I've never seen him this young before. It was in 1990, him and Luther Campbell were on an episode of Donahue together alongside Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys and the lead singer of Suicidal Tendencies. They had an episode about controversial music and censorship, and the pro-censorship side was Jack Thompson and a friend of his from Focus on the Family. And yeah, he's introduced as an anti-pornography lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, the Focus on the Family has been a thing for a while, but I've also seen... Who's that guy in the background who's got his head thrown back?
I think that's a cameraman.
He's giving Bud Dwyer. Is that... Because there's like a series of people, and then there's one guy in the back who's just looks like he just had like a refreshing drink of Sprite. But yeah, this is funny.
Yeah, I think that thing he's next to is a camera, and he has some headphones in his ears there. So he's probably like a crew member, because this is a wide angle showing everyone sitting together. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and, also Manson was on shows like this, too, talking about it. And, he's talking about why kids mosh and why they need a place to get all these feelings out in a like controlled chaos kind of way. And also, I don't feel like we need to remind you that Manson is a bad guy, but apparently we do, because I've gotten an angry message that we did not remind people that Manson is a bastard. The last time we mentioned him, it's like, yeah, we know. Listen to the pod. We go over it pretty regularly.
Controversy acknowledged, yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Also,
we know.
And also, yeah, just in general, Donahue rules. Almost every episode that had someone historically significant is on YouTube. This is a very fun watch. Also, another good one is Ayn Rand was on Donahue before she died. If you want to see an elderly Ayn Rand just being bitter and miserable for an hour, it's a great time.
Yeah, she was definitely like a celebratedly miserable fucking person her whole life. Collecting Social Security after raging against it for so long. Yeah.
God, yeah. And also, Luther Campbell is very funny in this. Like, they don't just argue passionately. He has some really good clapbacks. One of them with Jack Thompson. He goes, he doesn't even have an office. He's being disbarred, which was a thing that was happening at the time. And another one, he keeps taunting him. He goes, say Neil Rogers over and over, because Jack Thompson had been issued a gag order in his feud with the Shock Jock. So he just keeps going, say Neil Rogers, say Neil Rogers. And Jack Thompson's just like squirming.
Oh, that's so
good.
Funny. Also have to say, what a beautiful man. What a perfect cut, perfect suit. Just a very dapper, beautiful man.
Yeah, thin chain, thin mustache. He looks, yeah.
I do like when you can corner someone so easily is just like, say the thing. Oh, you can't say the thing, but you should say the thing. Come on, say the thing. Like, I'm sure, I can't remember who it was. There was like some white dipshit talking about how you should be able to say the N-word. And then the black other, he's just like, say it. Go ahead, say it. He's like, well, I don't mean that I should say it. And it's just such a funny thing. It's like, all right, well then do it. Put your money where your mouse is. Yeah,
very much the same energy of that.
That's right. I said, put your money where your mouse is. Yes.
Yeah, although sadly, Rogers lost the gag request, so that's why Jack Thompson still got to keep hounding him. But I think the best way to introduce where Jack Thompson was at this point is I have the opening of this 1990 profile on him that the Miami Herald did. And keep in mind that this is the year after the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out, so Batman is very much just like a big piece of pop culture at this moment. Would you like to read his intro here?
He wears a Batman watch. He drinks from a Batman mug. A large poster of the Caped Crusader is taped to his refrigerator door. Batman is just a metaphor I use to explain why what I've done has been received so well by some people, says Jack Thompson, the real-life crusading attorney who instigated the campaign that resulted in rap group 2 Live Crew's As Nasty As They Wanna Be album being declared obscene by a federal judge. For me, says Thompson, standing in the kitchen of his modest suburban home, the appeal of the Batman lies in the fact that he was supposed to be a private citizen who was able to provide assistance to his government. A lone activist who helped authorities do a job they seemed unable to accomplish on their own. To me, Luther Campbell isn't Luke Skywalker, a stage name he adopted but has been enjoined from using by Lucasfilm. He's the Joker, Thompson says. He's peddling obscenity to children, and that's why I have to play Batman here, to assist, to cajole, and to sometimes embarrass the government into doing its job. Yeah, it's just a pencil neck trying to get into the way of somebody just trying to make art and be weird on the radio. Definitely don't hit on teenagers, but...
Yeah, and also the guy whose whole brand is telling people what media they can and can't handle, being like, Batman, he's a good guy, right? It's cool that he beats up mentally ill people. That's something I should imitate. Like that he's taking this children's comic book character and being like, actually, this guy's epic. And also, I do have one more quote from him. This is jumping ahead, but to sort of illustrate how bad he is at media literacy, I have a quote here from him. He goes, the Bible doesn't promote killing innocent people. Grand Theft Auto does. Islam does. So unsurprisingly, yeah, he becomes a real Islamophobe later.
Yeah, it's kind of like this perfect little catch-22 where it's like, if the Bible promotes killing you, then that means that you're not innocent because the Bible promoted killing you. So you kind of get out of jail free for that one. Though I would say that you can make fun of a bald man for being bald without being mauled to death by a pack of bears. I don't think that the punishment for making fun of a guy for being bald should be getting attacked by an animal. So, I don't know. The Bible's complicated. There's a lot of stuff in there that's pretty weird. She lusted after men whose members were like that of donkeys and whose emissions were like that of horses. You know, maybe I got that one wrong. Anyways.
No, I got him one, I think, yeah. And also, this is causing such a problem that the Supreme Court of Florida ordered Thompson to undergo a psychiatric evaluation after he accused a nonprofit that Janet Reno was affiliated with of putting, quote, homosexual education tapes into public schools. He passed the evaluation and then he sued them for damages and retaliation. So unfortunately, this didn't get rid of him.
Yeah, they love doing that. They love saying that, like, I just don't think that pornography should be given to children. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I agree. But your definition of pornography is like sex education, right? Your definition of pornography is when an 8th grader finds out what's going on with their body. So it's you can't really win because they use the language that puts it in a way where you can't really fight against them. That's why they call themselves pro-life. Because who on earth would be anti-life? You know, it's frustrating, but it's effective. I'll give them that. Of course. Okay, this next part is a little funny, but yeah.
Yeah, and so in 1992, he was hired by Oliver North's Freedom Alliance to prosecute other rap groups like NWA and Ice-T, as well as Madonna and MTV as a whole. So another thing that fucking Ollie North is tied up in is this 90s music censorship movement.
Yeah, I didn't know that Ollie got his... Because he was presently doing like wild federal crimes trying to fund the Contras, and with the express command of Ronald Reagan. But I had no idea that he also got into culture war shit. No wonder he was at the RNC.
Yeah, that's why, like, even as recently, he's still like a Fox News talking head. He was in a fucking Call of Duty game. Like, yeah, the American Dad song tells you everything you need to know about him.
Yeah, truly. Jesus Christ, what a dork.
Yeah.
Don't trust any man named Ollie.
Yeah. And in 1997 is when he starts his video game crusade, because that's when there was a pre-Columbine school shooting at Heath High School in West Paducah, Kentucky, and Thompson represented the families of several victims, suing video game companies like id Software, as well as the distributors of movies that the shooter liked, like Natural Born Killers and The Basketball Diaries. So this was the first time he got really into like the video games made me do it defense and suing all these companies for damages for victims, and kind of laying the blueprint for his career going from here.
Yeah. I just, like, you can't sue a culture, man. Like, guns and violence and killing is like, there's not ever gonna be a time where you can be like, that's the movie that made them kill. It's like, well, yeah, but why did they make that violent movie? Well, why did they make that violent song or whatever? It's like, you're gonna be following that thread for all of time. And we're also just like a wildly violent culture. So it's just like such a fool's errand to even do it. But again, this is a culture that like will just find the most recent thing that makes them clutch their pearls, and that will be their whole focus. Because like we mentioned it earlier that like he's fetishizing Batman when like literally 20 years earlier he would be part of a crew trying to take down these violent comic books that teach kids how to punch up strangers. Like there's no historicity to it, Yeah, like the classic book that was anti-comic books was called Seduction of the Innocent. And that's like basically a phrase he uses all the time with video games about how it's like trying to appeal to kids. It's very much the same mindset. Yeah, it's all the same shit.
Another real-world political figure that I didn't know was involved in this is that part of Thompson's work on the Paducah shooting is that he talked to David Grossman, who's the killology guy. He's that guy who's like still out there telling cops, you need to kill, you need to be ready to take lives to defend people. Like he's the guy who's arguably responsible for more mass death than like any individual figure involved in law enforcement. And he's friends with Jack Thompson. Is like, oh yeah, it's the video games that are doing this.
This is the guy who like part of his killology course is telling people to shoot first, ask questions later, like literally and explicitly. And also he's part of that course is like, let me tell you, the first time you fuck your wife after killing a human being, it's gonna be great. It's just like, oh my God, how many triggers have been pulled because this guy says that you'll come harder if you're a murderer. I think that's a little bit more closely related to the violence that we're talking about than fucking a rap group talking about having sex.
Yeah. Nominative determinism in action. He is a very gross man.
Yeah, dude. Gross man.
And then from there, video games become his main focus. Although he does every now and then do something. Like he got Howard Stern kicked off the airwaves in Miami in the early 2000s. He still rabble-rouses sometimes, but games are his focus from here on out. Like in 2002, when the Beltway sniper was going on, he speculated that they were a teenage boy who plays video games, and the person who was doing it turned out to be a 41-year-old Gulf War veteran. But one of his tells, the reason why he thought it was a gamer was that the shooter had left a tarot card with "Call Me God" written on it, and he was like, "Oh, that's a reference to God mode. That's a thing the gamers do."
Oh my God. Okay, Jesus. I did not know that they left behind a tarot card. That is really freaky. That's so cool. I had not heard about that at all.
Like, I was in middle school when the Beltway sniper thing was going on. It was like the closest I'll ever get to be like knowing what it was like to live in California when the Zodiac killer was going around. It was just like, oh yeah, people are just dying every couple of days and there's nothing anyone can do about it. This is scary.
Yeah, my aunt lived out there and she had a shirt that had a huge crosshairs on it that just says "Don't shoot me." She's been a punk her whole life. She's great. But
that's pretty fun, yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. Trying to think of some through line where he left behind a Big Mac and he's like, that's a reference to big head mode. Like, I don't know, man.
He was wearing a bandana to give him infinite ammo.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I recognize this font.
Exactly, yes. So from 2003 onward, this is his bread and butter. He's representing the families of murder victims. He's a cable news talking head. He is the face of the movement to argue that video games are actionably responsible for these murders. And he does this so many times, it's not worth going into individual cases. Just know that for most of the 2000s, Jack Thompson was gamer enemy number one because he was the face of the movement against gamers. And fantastic encapsulation is this infamous panel from Control-Alt-Delete where Tim Buckley, the cartoonist, talks directly to the audience and in turn, Jack Thompson. Would you like to read this? I think you can get enough contempt in your voice for this.
My name is Tim Buckley. I'm a 24-year-old gamer. I've played every violent game in existence, and I've never killed anyone. There are millions of gamers just like me, and we're getting sick of people like you blaming your problems on us. Ignorance causes violence, not video games. Man up and take responsibility. We outnumber you, and the people that think like you don't fuck with us.
And it's, this guy with these huge baggy jeans with his arms folded with giving like kind of the angry DreamWorks face. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just this thing where it's like, yeah, they're right, but they're dorks.
Yeah, like
they're dorks,
rhetorically, going video games don't make people violent, shut up or we'll kill you seems like a pretty self-defeating argument to make. That was a lot of gamers were doing at the time.
Well, yeah. But like, it's this type of thing where like, yeah, you're dealing with children and you're expecting them to not have these outsized emotional reactions. It's like, yes, the gamers are going to say like really hostile things because they're gamers. Ask me how I know. So like, but this is also, they don't say, he doesn't say that he's going to do anything. He's just saying that we outnumber you. And like, I interpret that as like kind of a political thing of like, you're in the vast minority. We are already like, gaming was booming and has continued to explode since then, and now that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, there's less pressure, or like there's just less of a cultural pressure to get individual games banned, because now people like Jack Thompson, maybe less of a crusader, but people who would previously be like Jack Thompson are now recognizing that they could make money off of it, right?
Very much, yeah. And also, I guess while we're going at Control-Delete, there was an animated series they did. There was an entire episode about Jack Thompson. His caricature of Jack Thompson is terrible. It does not look anything like him. He has like a big square chin. Like, he's just like a white guy with white hair. That's the only way he resembles Jack Thompson at all.
Yeah, like, he's wearing a tuxedo with one button.
Suits are hard to draw, man.
Well,
I get it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But Jack Thompson is still doing his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And also another example is Penny
Arcade. Not the silver fox that he wants to be.
I knew people who had this shirt. Penny Arcade used to sell a shirt that just said, I hate Jack Thompson on it, $17.99. And since you're someone who has written a lot of product descriptions, how'd you like to read the product description for this shirt?
Everyone, including his own mother, hates Jack Thompson. Virtually every living creature hates Jack Thompson, professional scold and slavering ambulance chaser. Squirrels, policemen, sea captains, fruit bats, aeronautical engineers, milliners, zookeepers, bakers, and pharaohs all hate Jack Thompson. Black t-shirt and 100% heavyweight cotton with I Hate Jack Thompson printed in white and red on the front. Red Penny Arcade logo adorns the back.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really add a whole lot, but it would be funny if they actually got someone like his mother to come out and be like, my son is a creep, like how they got Captive Dreamer on Twitter. They have his dad coming out and be like, my son is a racist asshole, nobody should be following him. Which is, having your parent also online is one thing. Having your parent come out and say, don't follow my dipshit son is a very different thing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I did have a quote here from Doug Lowenstein, the president of the Entertainment Software Association. He sort of talked a little bit about this because, yeah, part of why Jack Thompson was such a big media figure is because he was such an outsized figure. And he was very entertaining and good at provoking these reactions. Like the quote I have from him here, he goes, "The game press had a schizoid relationship with Thompson. He was the person they loved to vilify and the person they could not get enough of. Time and time again, the game press and mainstream press would act the ESA to engage with or respond to Thompson's latest excess. The media knew well that he was a charlatan who wholly lacked credibility." And it is worth mentioning that this is the head of an industry lobbying group complaining about industry journalists, so take it with a grain of salt. But that is a good illustration of, like, yeah, Thompson was this big entertaining media figure and who was good at staying in the spotlight.
Yeah, the one thing that people, I think everywhere, are really fucking bad at is just ignoring the thing that will go away if you ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Ann Coulter was getting headline after headline after headline, but she has not ever really been taken that seriously. She only sold because she said insane things into a microphone or wrote them down and sold them as books, right? Like, her shock was the only thing that moved anything for her. And so it does not surprise me that the journalists, particularly video game journalists, are very susceptible to following whoever said the most egregious thing. And you know, that's what all of YouTube, like, quote unquote journalism is now, is just like screaming your head off about the latest thing that you barely understand, you know?
Yeah. And also, to illustrate the type of vitriol that he was throwing at Doug Lowenstein, I have this exchange here. Would you like to read Electronic Gaming Monthly and I'll read Jack Thompson?
You once compared Doug Lowenstein, president of the Entertainment Software Association, to Saddam Hussein.
If I did, I want to apologize to Saddam Hussein. Doug is a propagandist to whom the facts don't matter.
Yeah,
very timely.
It's just like, it's very timely, and it's also just like this guy who, like, I think that both sides genuinely hate each other, but are also having a bit of fun. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah, you're posturing, kind of.
They both think that they're Batman, and the other one is Joker, you know?
Very much. I get a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was, all that lead up is to the actual focus of this episode, a modest video game proposal, which is an open letter to the video game industry that Thompson released on October 10th of 2005. So we've been recording for over an hour. We're about halfway through the document. So how about we break here, and then next time we will resume reading his modest video game proposal and seeing how the gamers reacted to it.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you all for listening. We have recs at the end of the episode of things that we've been getting into lately. And before we do that, I just want to say that you can find us at iftipod@gmail.com. Send us your ideas for episodes. And you can find us at iftipod on Twitter as well. As for me, you can find me at Winslow Domain on Twitter and Calculations on Instagram. If you want my new game, please check out winslowdomain.com. It has that and also everything else that I've made. It's called The Restless. You've already heard all about it. And also check out my Discord, where I'm working on the new game and also, fishing around for interesting ideas. And fuck, dude, I haven't even told you, but I've got some fucking sick collabs that I'm doing that are just crazy. I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to, like, hype myself up too much in case something doesn't work out with it. But dude, there's some. I'll tell you off the air. But I'm very excited for this next thing, man.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, that's where you can find us and me. Jay, where can they find you?
I'm jaybrandstetter on Blue Sky. My links are in the link tree in the show notes. I'm actually working on a project again for the first time in a year, so that's pretty cool. And also, I wanted to thank everyone who responded to the request to collaborate I did last week. Part of why this episode even exists is because Kevin from Scandalous Games reached out to me about guesting on his show, and we had some fun conversations. So yeah, by all means, I really appreciate having the type of audience we do. And also shout out to Kevin. He's been listening to us ever since he found us on the Behind the Bastard subreddit.
Oh, that's good. Good. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody on BTB. Everybody who is nice to me on BTB. It's all been very fun. And also, you threw out a link for collabs, and you were on fucking QAnon Anonymous, and you've been doing all sorts of shit. I also can collab. If anybody wants me to be annoying on their show, find me. Blah blah blah. You know how to do it. But anyways. That's all for us. And do we want to do the Rex now? And then
I have one for both parts. Yeah, I guess my rec for this part will just be Scandalous Games again. I know I shouted them out at the beginning, but yeah, if you like this episode, they go a lot more in depth into Jack Thompson and other things like this. So yeah, there's plenty. Also, they did like a 12-part thing on Dave Grossman and Killology. They get very in depth in some of the stuff I just kind of reference here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely add them. I still need to watch the video that you suggested last time about the history of Tyler Perry. And that's the next thing on my list. But I will say I kind of have a compound rec, and then I have something for part 2 as well. I've been watching all of Arbiter Ian's content on YouTube lately as I do the rest of the game, mailing out of orders and doing everything with all the other stuff that I've got in the mail. If you're into Warhammer 40,000, it's really good, like even-handed coverage of interesting topics in the lore that doesn't get too much into like the navel-gazy, I don't know, fan theory bullshit. He's really good. I've been following him for a bit now, and that's what I've been getting into. And also Iron Pineapple. If anybody knows how to get in touch with Iron Pineapple, let me know, because he's really good, and he does a whole series on YouTube about just weird Souls-like games. And kind of giving little reviews to him, and so much so that I actually have a little reference to Iron Pineapple in my game, The Restless. So I'd love to get in touch with him if anybody knows how. But that's all for us for this week. Come back next week, and we will tell you everything else you've ever wanted to know about a modest video game proposal. And thank you for listening.
Watch out for ambulances.
I'm From the Internet is created by Jay Brandstetter and Winslow Domain. Edited by Steve Brown. Music by Steve Is Broke.